84th and Havelock. This week's special through November 21st is buy one, get one free on 4-ounce filet mignons. And bring on the holiday cheers with 15% off all wine, beer, and spirits. Plus, don't forget their 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
The Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly sunny skies to go along with calm winds. We'll see an afternoon high of around 72. Tonight, mainly clear skies with a low of around 49. And tomorrow, probably sunny and breezy. You can kind of rule out a few spotty showers in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll see a high around 68. Meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Celebrate Thanksgiving this year with Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Venue at Home with our Thanksgiving to-go meal packages. Our packages include sliced turkey breasts and roasted gravy, herb stuffing, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, a harvest salad, and more, with add-on options to upgrade your feast, including smoked ham, prime rib, sides, appetizers, and desserts. You choose delivery right to your home or pick up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at holidaysbyvenue.net. That's holidaysbyvenue.net.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, no Rico with me today as he is a little under the weather. So I have Jake Bachoven in the studio with me. What's up, Bach?
Glad to be with you.
Hey, so we're going to start out here, 402-464-5685. And how about this, Bach? Can you turn these other pair of headphones that nobody is wearing down? Terrell has them up all the way, and I hear the echo through the microphone. Thank you. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Allo Channel 951. Thanks to Empire Fence and Netting for their support, as always. Okay, we're going to start this in the Big Ten Conference, and in this week that's been a lot of coaches on the move, whether they're fired, whether they're hired, whether they're moving on, resigning, retiring, whatever. Northwestern is expected to move forward with the deal that makes David Braun the permanent head coach for Northwestern football. And Bach, when Northwestern came to Lincoln a couple weeks ago, that was something I kind of said, where it was a real impressive first couple of weeks and months for David Braun. He gets hired as the defensive coordinator at Northwestern in January. And now after a 1-11 season with Pat Fitzgerald last year, Northwestern currently here on November 15th sits at 5-5, and they have Purdue and Illinois coming up in the next 2 weeks, and you feel pretty good about their chances to make a bowl game. It's remarkable the job that David Braun has done. Frankly, in my opinion, he should win Big Ten Coach of the Year, and he should be in the running for National Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'd put him right in there as far as Big Ten Coach of the Year. And I do think he probably deserves this opportunity. I mean, they've got victories over Wisconsin, Maryland, and Minnesota this year. Those aren't games that you would have thought that they'd be favored in. They've got 5 victories this year, 4 combined in the last 2 years. So, this doesn't have to be, more difficult than really to comprehend than you make of it. You kind of think about Northwestern, where they are in the college football landscape, who would be really interested in going there. If you've got a guy that's already kind of got it rolling, it's not like they've got some all-star running back or quarterback that you think this is heavily tied to. I mean, this has kind of been a team building, team winning transformation. They've had to kind of rotate quarterbacks a little bit. They finally got Ben Bryant back this past weekend. But I mean, this is the right move in my mind if you're Northwestern, even if they lose these final games, just to see what it is, to give them a shot. Now, I'm interested in the language of the contract, what it kind of looks like, because as we've seen too, some of these teams, like some of these things, I guess when you're the interim and kind of take over, this could be a Zach Arnett situation too, where if you lose right away in year one, they might go the other way. You don't see that too often. Usually you're going to get more of an opportunity than that. And I think you will, but I think this is the right move for the Wildcats.
It's fascinating because, I mean, like you mentioned, so Northwestern last year 1-11 under Pat Fitzgerald, their lone win to Nebraska. And you look at just the quick, just rapid growth for David Braun, the current interim head coach for Northwestern. Like I said, gets hired back in January as the defense coordinator, his first Power 5 job anywhere. And then now just, 10 months later, here he is expected to be named the permanent head coach for Northwestern due to other circumstances. I think you also look at Northwestern and who are they going to be able to go get, right? With universities like that maybe don't have the most, I don't want to say support athletically, but known for having a high quality and consistent football program, it makes it difficult. It's going to make it difficult to go find a coach, not to mention the recruiting side of it, right? Where you have to deal with the academic standards and making sure that guys qualify to get into the university side of it, not even just the football side of it. And I thought David Braun, if you listen to his press conference, and Nebraska fans can somewhat respect this out of him, it sounds a lot like Mickey Joseph. It sounded a lot like Mickey Joseph when MJ took over as the interim head coach last year. Is listen, the future is unknown. My future and my staff, their futures are unknown, but we're basically going to leave this place in a better spot than when we took over. And David Braun's done that. He's talked about that openly, especially when it comes to recruiting, is that they're selling Northwestern more than even themselves at this point. And that's getting guys to be interested. Now you put some wins on top of it and some wins against in-division opponents, then now you're starting to cook with gas and you're starting to cook with oil. And Northwestern has an opportunity where I don't see them just maybe going 6-5 or 6-6. It very well could be a 7-5 type of year, which is truly remarkable when you incorporate all the trials and tribulations that they've kind of had to endure.
Well, and it's also interesting just to kind of, if you go back and kind of think about all these years we've talked about Pat Fitzgerald, and obviously what happened this last year kind of took him out of that position. But it was kind of the idea that regardless of what happens, he should be their coach because he's the only one that's going to be interested to be there. He's the only one that you can see winning enough games there because he was winning the Big Ten West every couple of years. It's kind of interesting because since 2017, this year might be a breath of fresh air for Northwestern just to kind of be mediocre because they've either been awful and win 3 games or 1 game, or they've won the Big Ten West since 2017. So it's just kind of interesting in that area too. But just to kind of think of all these years, it was kind of said, well, Fitzgerald's the only one that would have success in there. But for Braun in a difficult situation, remember, inheriting a team that was 1-11 last year. And like you said, I mean, he's not a long-time Northwestern assistant or anything. So kind of new blood into the water to be able to get 3 Big Ten victories. I mean, that's what, you mentioned Mickey Joseph. That's something that kind of he has too, or any interim coach that can step in and take advantage of your opportunity is, you can go to your next interview, or in this case, even if it's at the same school, and say, I've got Big Ten wins. So I don't know who else is on your list, but are they proven enough that like, hey, I can win in this conference? I've shown it.
Yeah, exactly. And especially in a landscape, as we talk about with every coach, as UCLA is expected to fire Chip Kelly after the USC game. When you see a lot of universities that are transitioning into new landscapes of college football, how are they acting? How are they responding? Is it, hey, let's cut bait, let's start fresh with everybody new? And we're seeing a lot of universities do that. We're seeing a lot of schools do that. Texas A&M is now going into this new SEC landscape without their coach that was tied to $79.5 million. And you see UCLA moving on. You see Mississippi State moving on. These aren't the group of 5 schools, or these aren't the lower level programs that are moving on from coaches. These are big name universities that we expect to play a big part in whatever conference they are. Maybe not so much Mississippi State, but Texas A&M, we expect them to be a big focal point of the SEC. We expect UCLA as kind of a conversation point going forward in the Big Ten Conference, and Northwestern, who is, Chicago's Big Ten team, if you will. You want to feel like as a university you have some stability, and allowing your interim coach to just kind of slide on over and doing it early enough to where you can prevent potential guys from going into the portal or moving and looking around different options. When you can do it before that, all that stuff happens, then you're going to set yourself up for more potential success rather than failure.
Well, and it's also interesting just to kind of break down what is success for David Braun at Northwestern. Is it these type of years? Is that kind of what you're looking at? And then occasionally, because Fitzgerald had already proven that he can do it, occasionally jump up to 9 or 10 win seasons. The Big Ten West isn't going to be there anymore, so they can't win the bad division. So you're going to have to kind of measure that a little bit differently. But it's just kind of interesting with Northwestern because they've long been viewed and are kind of stuck in position. To me, where they're not going to get out of the cellar of the Big Ten as far as like the most desirable jobs. They're just kind of are what they are as a private school, not as big of a following there in Chicago. There's a lot of different teams to choose just in the college ranks in Chicago, but obviously with professional teams as well there. So they've got a smaller, probably the worst stadium in the Big Ten. They're enhancing that, bettering that. They're going to move over to a newly built stadium here pretty soon. Still not going to be, one of the 100,000 or 90,000 or 80,000 strong that you see in many Big Ten stadiums. But so, that I'm just kind of interested where they are moving forward, because you mentioned Mississippi State. They're kind of that similar situation where there are a few teams in the Big Ten and the SEC where these conferences have very clearly become the future, the present and the future of the sport in adding this team and that team and strengthening their team. Meanwhile, there are a few teams in each conference that are kind of probably thanking God there's no relegation at this point, but in the future of college football, you never know.
Once again, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. Feel free to call and text into the show today. We are going to talk to Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska here in about 10 minutes or so. Get his thoughts on Husker men's basketball as they'll play Stony Brook tonight, as well as Husker football ahead of their matchup against the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, I mentioned this to one of my co-hosts. I can't remember which one earlier in the week, and it was after Zach Arnett got fired at Mississippi State, and Jimbo Fisher, frankly, where the 2017-2018 coaching carousel, and this just kind of shows you the landscape in college football. Out of all the Power 5 coaches that got hired, you had in this cycle, Kevin Sumlin goes hired at Arizona, Herm Edwards at ASU, Chad Morris at Arkansas, Dan Mullen at Florida, Willie Taggart, Florida State. You had Scott Frost at Nebraska, Matt Luke at Ole Miss. You had Mario Cristobal at Oregon, Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee, Heupel at UCF, Chip Kelly at UCLA. Those out of all of those Power 5 coaches that were hired, only one coach remains at his initial school, and that's Oregon State's Jonathan Smith.
He's doing well.
And he's doing well, and he's probably going to move on from his university during this offseason when he gets a better job. And so it's fascinating to see the big names in that coaching carousel, right? Obviously, Scott Frost is one of them. Kevin Sumlin went from Texas A&M at that time to Arizona. You had Herm Edwards, who came out of retirement and his time at ESPN to be at ASU and no longer there. Dan Mullen went from Mississippi State to Florida. It failed miserably. You had Willie Taggart go from Oregon to Florida State that year, failed miserably. It's fascinating to see that a first year and a brand new head coach 5 or 6 years later is the only coach to remain in his school.
Yeah,
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it's Oregon State nonetheless, where they were not a good program at that time.
Well, and I always like, at least for me, I love paying attention to those sort of things to kind of compare Scott Frost.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of had Scott Frost and Chip Kelly in a similar conversation for a long time. Obviously, because they ran similar offenses and we're trying these things out at different places at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where, the comparisons are always going to be for Matt Rule. It's not always just how good of a hire was it. It's how good of a hire was it at the time. Does Luke Fickell do better at Wisconsin than Matt does at Nebraska? Then we can kind of go back and look. Deion Sanders, obviously, the big competition for Matt Rule's job here at Nebraska. It'll be fun moving forward. And just because you brought it up too, it's kind of interesting. I've seen it thrown out there, not necessarily would bet on it or anything, but Dan Mullen, Mississippi State back open. Maybe a Dan Mullen reunion would make some sense there in Starkville for the Bulldogs.
Sorry to interrupt you. Big Bird says, do you really think Jonathan Smith is going to move on? He left Wisconsin on his own to be the coach at Oregon State. You're thinking Gary Anderson.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson was the head coach at Wisconsin, left Wisconsin, and moved to Oregon State. Jonathan Smith was the offensive coordinator at Washington, which, by the way, current offensive coordinator at Washington, Ryan Grubb, is probably going to get a job, potentially San Diego State, this next offseason. But Jonathan Smith was the offensive coordinator and QB coach at Washington prior to replacing Gary Anderson at Oregon State back in 2018.
Yeah, Gary Anderson too. If you remember, this is kind of the second go around for Wisconsin to get away from that traditional smash mouth style offense. That's what he tried to run it for about half a season. And at the time, they still had Barry Alvarez as the athletic director. He came down from the front office and says, we got to get back to Wisconsin football. Pretty much chased him out of town. And so that's where he went. Paul Chryst came in for Wisconsin from there. And now you have somewhat of an interesting offensive matchup for Nebraska this weekend, because Wisconsin isn't that traditional smash mouth team. They'll throw the ball a little bit around the yard, not all too successfully this year. But that's very interesting to track moving forward, because I think it kind of opens up Nebraska to maybe take that spot as that heavy run team. They've kind of done that with a bad offense this year. Michigan obviously is very much involved in that. We saw what they did this last week against Penn State. I think there's always going to be room in the Big Ten for one of the nation's leaders in rushing, and I hope Nebraska takes that slot.
It will be interesting. I think I read that Braylon Allen had just 3 carries last week. Is that correct, Bob?
I think so. Yeah.
So he had 3 carries last week. It's going to be fascinating to see on Saturday what Nebraska has to go up against and what they have to defend, because on this day, and Bach, I'm sure you know this, on this day in 2014, Melvin Gordon ran for 408 on Nebraska. And now here 3 days later, we don't know if Wisconsin will have a guy that goes over 100. It's fascinating to think about how times have changed, and just kind of the coaching carousel as it's already begun. And we're still, 2 or 3 weeks away from the regular season finishing up. And then you have obviously conference championships, and then you got to go through the whole entire bowl season. Seems like decisions are being made earlier and earlier every single year, and big financial commitments as well are being broke and then having to be honored down the road because people want changes in their universities.
Well, it's interesting too, because I heard you on the drive this morning talk about this day in Husker history, where it was basically the nail in the coffin for Bo, that Wisconsin game, and the nail in the coffin for Frank on this day against Kansas State. Yet both of those guys were able to finish out the season, beat Colorado and Iowa respectively, and then get fired after that. Where in modern day, I think if that happens today, you have to get rid of them right away, jumpstart the it's jumpstart everything like we kind of saw a couple years ago was just Scott Frost as just assistant coaches. It was like, all right, well, there's still 2 weeks left, but throw the season out the door so we can focus on next season. That's what a lot of schools are doing these days.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how just the college football world has changed, and it's about to continue changing, I'm sure, as we go forward. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska, the rival site for the Huskers, will join me as we break down Nebraska basketball. They'll play Stony Brook later this evening, and Husker football against the Wisconsin Badgers. Nebraska basketball might also be getting back a guy that Nebraska fans have not seen quite yet. He's going to be healthy. All signs are indicating that Ramel Lloyd Jr. is going to be good to go and given the green light tonight against Stony Brook. So I'll ask Steve, what kind of a change is coming to the Nebraska Husker basketball team with the Ramel Lloyd Jr.? Rico and I just talked yesterday about having Jamarcus Lawrence run the point. It doesn't look so natural for Jamarcus. Lawrence also went 0 for 5 the other day against oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the team they played on Monday?
They all kind of run together.
I'm blanking on the team they played on Monday.
Ryder.
I wanted to continue to say Lamar, and I knew that was not right. Ryder. On Monday, Jamarcus Lawrence shoots 0 for 5. So now with a true point guard, yes, still young, inexperienced, I suppose. What does it look like? Can we expect maybe a better performance from Nebraska's offense? We'll talk all that and more with Steve Mark of Rivals coming up next. You're listening to Happy Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
On Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havilah. This week's special through November 21st is buy one, get one free on 4-ounce filet mignons. And bring on the holiday cheers with 15% off all wine, beer, and spirits. Plus, don't forget their 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beers, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Celebrate Thanksgiving this year with Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Venue at Home with our Thanksgiving to-go meal packages. Our packages include sliced turkey breasts and roasted gravy, herb stuffing, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, a harvest salad, and more, with add-on options to upgrade your feast, including smoked ham, prime rib, sides, appetizers, and desserts. You choose delivery right to your home or pick up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at holidaysbyvenue.net. That's holidaysbyvenue.net.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club or space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? No, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over. Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
This is Jeff Essing, owner of Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping and host of Fitness Fanatics. Over the years, we've helped countless of people gain strength, lose fat, build confidence, and change their lives. And it all starts with the Farrell's 10-Week Challenge. Now is the best time to enroll during the Black Friday sale. You can join the January 10-Week Challenge for half price. That's 10 weeks of kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching for 50% off. Head to theticketfm.com and click on the banner on the homepage to enroll today. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet Hotel is special on many levels, from the delicious Well and Good restaurant on the main floor to the coolest rooftop patio bar in Lincoln, the Barred Owl, on the top floor of the hotel with great views of the city and one of the coolest drink menus. Book your stay or book a staycation today at scarlethotelnebraska.com.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the Ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show, powered by Sunbelt Rentals. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador, Select Plumbing, Jimmy John's, Lincoln Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, Fleet Feet, Bure's Cheese Spread on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
Vershawn Jackson for Brandt Excavating. Brandt's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brandt is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brandt Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrandtExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brandt Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go big Brandt.
The most anticipated rock holiday tradition returns. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. November 16th, Pinnacle Bank Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A legendary blend of rock, classical, and holiday music for the entire family. Don't miss Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. The Ghosts of Christmas Eve. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Herbie the Fourth ate his first solid food today, prompting a response of nothing but steaks all week for the Nebraska offensive line.
Then Enrique Alvarez Clary.
No more peaches and carrots for Herbie the Seventh. Baby food be damned.
Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the happy hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Just Nick Sainer with you today. No Rico. He's a little under the weather. Let's go right to the Allo VIP line. VIP line brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with a local heart. And we're joined by my good friend Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska on the Allo VIP line. Steve, what's up?
Hey, Nick, I'm doing great. I'm enjoying this good weather, right? Always talk about the weather when we kick these interviews off, but it's, I don't know, I couldn't deny it. It's awesome.
That's what I'm saying. I said it this morning on another show. I just said this means that we're going to get pounded in April and May with snow still.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the snow is coming from, but I'm enjoying this while we got it. But when the white stuff comes down, I won't hate it as much as everybody else does.
That's right. You're a cold person. You like the cold.
I think I handle the cold weather than I do the heat, honestly. Maybe
crazy.
It's just from like growing up here and living on a farm out in northeastern Nebraska or whatever it is. So I don't know. I enjoy it.
All right. So speaking of weather, I just saw a pedal cab drive by our station down here on O Street, and I thought, man, somebody's getting lit up on 1:30 at 1:39 on a Wednesday afternoon. I mean, that's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
Maybe they're getting all geared up for the Stony Brook big contest, the big Stony Brook game tonight, Nick.
Hey, maybe that is the case. Let's talk Husker hoops first, because you and we both saw the same tweet. Obviously, Rock Lloyd, Ramel Lloyd Jr.'s father, tweeted out something earlier today about how it's go time, right? And Ramel Lloyd Jr., all signs pointed. We'll find out here very shortly with the availability report. Hypothetically speaking, if Ramel is available to play for Nebraska, is there a way is he cracking the rotation? How valuable of a piece is he playing in Nebraska's season in a year where they don't have a true point guard, it feels like?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I'm not trying to knock Ramel here, because I know he was a talented guy coming out of high school, and he's got loads of talent. Just not a lot of game experience in college just yet, but he's a young guy, so that makes sense. But if he is good to go tonight, I don't see him really playing much of a role out there on the court. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Fred knows more about this stuff than I do. But I think, when you're talking about the point guard position at Nebraska right now, you have Jamarcus Lawrence, who's kind of, in transition of learning the position of last year he played more off ball as a two, and now he's expected to kind of transition into more of a one on ball point guy. And then you also have Jaren Coleman coming off the bench. He's got plenty of experience handling the ball, but I think it's been kind of a process with those two guys as the primary ball handlers. I don't think it's been really, really good just yet, but I don't think it's been really, really bad just yet. I think Jamarcus maybe is the one who has kind of the farther way to go, I guess, to maybe get comfortable in that new position. But, it's only been 3 games. So, I'm not worried about any of that at all. But with a guy like Ramel, I know he watching some of his highlights from his high school career, he's had the ball in his hands a lot of times. So you wonder what he could give the offense, and I'm sure he'll get an opportunity out there tonight. But when you're looking at the broad scope of this thing, closing your eyes and thinking what this looks like for the rest of the season, I don't really see Ramel Lloyd as a big role on there, like as a starter or maybe even in the rotation. But, I could be proved wrong.
Well, and we know from his high school days playing at Sierra Canyon out in California, played with some real talent. Obviously, Bronny James, member of that team, Amari Bailey, who was a top recruit that went to UCLA. So we know Ramel Lloyd Jr. is used and accustomed to being around talent. All right. Speaking of Nebraska being just 3 games into this thing, where are your thoughts at with Husker basketball? Because we kind of knew that their offense, would probably take a step back, and it did against Rider. There was a lot of nervous energy, I think, in that first half against Rider, understandably so. Then Rider loses their preseason player of the year pick, and Nebraska goes on, not necessarily a run, but just a time frame where Rider shot really poorly in the second half, and they were able to pull away and win by 14. I mean, what was your just general thoughts over these first three games for Husker hoops?
Yeah, so it's the most important thing is just 3 wins, right? I mean, it's always good, and I don't care who you're playing, Lindenwood, Florida A&M, Rider, whatever kind of positive momentum and wins under your belt you can get to start a season. I mean, that's all you can ask for. That's good. And then when you start playing the power conference teams, I know Stony Brook is tonight, but then your first power conference opponent in Oregon State in a neutral site game in Sioux Falls, that's going to be a really, really big game for Nebraska. It's going to be the first true test about of how far has this team come, what is it good at, what is it not good at. I think we're going to see a lot of that against Oregon State, because that's going to be, they're a good team. They've won their first 3 games as well. And it's just going to be a big game in my opinion. It kind of sucks that it's on the same day as the Wisconsin game. I'll be up in Madison and trying to cover a football game and then, but it's when you look at the offense, I think the offense is kind of one thing, but what I think Fred Hoiberg really likes about this team is the defense and how the grit and grind that they have on that end of the floor, and what they did against Rider. Like Nick, you were there, you saw Rider. They weren't the greatest of shooters. I think they were held to 30% shooting, but they were tough. They were a tough physical group of guys who didn't back down to the Huskers at all. They didn't care that they were playing a Big Ten team, and they were just little Rider. I mean, they came and played and were tough and were pushing guys around in white. So it was good to see Nebraska kind of just, I guess, take that physicality. And although I think Rider did push them around a little bit, it's a 40-minute game, and I think Nebraska won that thing in the second half because of the defense and how they were really kind of clamping down on that end of the court when the shots weren't falling, because we've seen it at Nebraska for years and years and years where shots aren't falling and they didn't shoot a good percentage from the field or 3-point range. Keisei Tominaga, in his first game back from that sprained ankle against Doane, he didn't look really great. He was trying to shake off some rust. It's going to take some games for him to get in a groove again. And I'm not freaking out or anything. I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing with Keisei. I mean, that guy's going to continue to get in his groove and find his stroke. It just might take a couple games. So, yeah, when you ask me what my observations have been through the first 3 games, I think there's a lot of good things that Husker fans should really take in, especially on the defensive side, because the offense will come, I think. But the thing that you really want to have as a constant is that defense, and I think they've shown that.
One more basketball question before we get to the game in Madison. Rink Mast is going to play a pretty big role on this team, it feels like. Whether it might not be in the scoring department, but man, if he can get you the 11 to 15 type of boards each time out, whether you're playing Rider or whether you're playing Wisconsin or Northwestern, whoever the case may be, you feel like Nebraska can do some of their own things on the glass, which it feels like Rink Mast might play a pretty big part.
Yeah, absolutely. Rink Mast, 6'10", 245 pounds. He's coming up playing Power 5 basketball. It's something, talking to him in the offseason, that he was really anxious to see if he could do it, to go from Bradley to a place like Nebraska in the Big Ten. That's a big step up. And he was wondering if he could do it. And so far he hasn't played the competition that tells us, yes, he can do it. But man, we're getting a good kind of glimpse into the future of what Rink Mast can provide. And it's really good. He's averaging 15 and 11 right now. He's got back-to-back double doubles. He's doing things that Alex Maric used to do back in the day for the Huskers. I mean, it's really kind of cool to have a big like Rink Mast who, does some things that Derek Walker did last year. He can pass the ball. He can be a facilitator, but one thing that Rink has shown that he can do that Derek never really did is hit that outside shot, that top of the arc 3-point shot. I mean, he's hitting 25% right now on the season, but that'll go up. I mean, you look at him warm up, the amount of, just watching Rink Mast warm up before games is really something, because he puts so much effort into it. He gets a really good sweat in, and he takes that thing super, super seriously, while other guys I don't think take the warm up prior to games as seriously as Rink Mast does. I mean, I encourage anybody who can get there early enough to maybe go and watch Rink warm up, because it's kind of a thing of beauty. It's cool. But yeah, I mean, Rink Mast is going to be a very, very big focal point of this team. And, if he can be that solid guy, that solid post player down there, along with Josiah Alec. If those guys can stay healthy, I think Nebraska has an excellent 1-2 punch, in their front court. And, it's just kind of exciting to see that and have two guys of those caliber of what they can do on the boards and defensively, because I think they bring some energy on both ends.
Let's transition over to football. Nebraska versus Wisconsin, tonight game this Saturday night up in Madison. It was kind of obvious on Monday as I was sitting up there on the 6th floor, somewhat obvious on Monday, like Matt Rule is very aware and conscious, of the conversations surrounding his offensive coordinator. Did you kind of feel that? It felt like Matt Rule was very, this is all on me. I'm not firing to my offensive coordinator. That would be stupid to do in the first year. Stop even talking about it. It felt like he was very aware that there was some growing frustration with the offensive coordinator.
Matt Rule is aware of everything that goes on in the fan base, and he's aware of everything that goes around in his program. So it wasn't surprising to me that, when he was inevitably asked about Marcus Satterfield, the play calling, the pass on 3rd down on Maryland 7 when you could have run it and kicked a field goal and put your excellent defense back on the field and maybe pin Maryland deep. It was not surprising to see Matt Rule take responsibility, defend his guys. That's just what he's going to do whenever he's in front of a microphone. He's always going to defend his guys. He's never going to throw anyone under the bus. He's always going to take the blame. He's always going to shoulder everything that comes his way. So I really appreciate that about Matt Rule, because, around here, it hasn't always been like that with head coaches. It wasn't surprising. And, it's an interesting conversation with Marcus Satterfield and how everyone kind of views the play calling situation. And, I think it's a little bit unfair, some of the heat that Marcus Satterfield has been getting, but that's my personal opinion. So I know everybody doesn't really share that thought, and that's fine. But it was good. It was good to see Matt Rule kind of take that question and I guess just kind of give us a glimpse into his mind and how he thinks. And him saying, am I going to just fire somebody and bring in a new OC and have them teach her a new language, a new system, new concepts with new players? Like, absolutely not. That's stupid. I'm glad he said that. That's stupid, because it would be absolutely insane, in my opinion, to kind of let go of Marcus Satterfield after, I just don't think that we have a really good grasp on how good of an OC he is right now, because he hasn't really had the opportunity, in my opinion, to kind of show how good he is or what he can do with a full complement of players and everything like that. So it was good to see Matt Rule kind of defend his guys and take the blame up there.
Well, Steve, okay, so building off of that, is that because of injuries, or is it because of the type of players that Nebraska currently has on their roster?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, like, when you look at the injuries to people, Gabe Ervin, the running backs, the receivers that Nebraska is trotting out right now on offense, I mean, their head has to be spinning. And then you look at the quarterback role right now. I mean, they missed on Jeff Sims. I think that's obvious right now. So they missed on Jeff Sims, and now when you don't have Jeff Sims out there, you're leaning on Heinrich Harburg, who many people think shouldn't be a quarterback. And if he is playing quarterback, then he's a guy that doesn't have a ton of experience. This is his first season playing Big Ten football, so there are going to be ups and downs, and he's shown ups as an athlete in the run game, but he's had a lot of downs in the pass game, and he just looks sort of lost right now. As the season goes on, it looks like he's gotten worse in the pass game. So, and then Chubba Purdy was thrown in there yesterday or last weekend, and he did some good things on the ground. But in that last drive, in that last 3rd down play, you could tell that everything is just not executed properly. And it's because, I mean, look at who you have on that 3rd down pass. You have Chubba Purdy throwing the football to Billy Kemp, who he's probably not thrown a lot of passes to. Billy Kemp doesn't run the corner route at the right depth. Malachi Coleman does not run his clear out route quickly enough. He's so far close to the sideline, and that allowed the corner to kind of drop off into coverage and snag that pass. But so you have Chubba Purdy, Malachi Coleman, and Billy Kemp all on the field. I don't care who you are. If you're a fan and you're expecting everything to be executed perfectly between those three players, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with that. And that's just a recipe for disaster. And disaster is exactly what happened with that pass. So there's just, so many names and so many players being thrown in on the offensive side of the ball that it just makes so much sense that things are as discombobulated on offense as it is. The one constant, I think, that one unit that has gotten better is the offensive line. Emmett Johnson, too, running back, running behind those guys. That's been kind of a bright spot in the offense for me. Matt Rule said that the offensive line played its best game of the season last week against Maryland, and I totally agree with that. Emmett Johnson had some big, wide lanes to run through, and he was doing some special stuff after the run too. So, yeah, when I look at Marcus Satterfield, I don't know. I just don't think he's really the problem here. The problem is his pieces on the field right now. You've seen the change from what they wanted to do offensively, scheme wise, to what they are currently doing. It's just completely different. I mean, I think, I don't think it's a half bad coaching job what he's doing right now of just trying to formulate something, just get a plan together, something with these guys who, many people didn't even expect to see on the field, but now they're expected to play really key snaps. So, I think some of the backlash with Marcus Satterfield is not warranted, but, that's just one guy's opinion. And I know a lot of people disagree with it, but that's just where I'm at right now.
All right, Steve, I'll hurry up and get you out of here quickly. I know you do deep dives on Nebraska's opponent each week, and this week it's Wisconsin, which is just very strange, right? They lose a couple running backs. Braylon Allen's not fully healthy. They bring in a plethora of quarterbacks. Mordecai gets hurt. They have Phil Longo on off. Like, how do you see this Saturday playing out? Because as much as Nebraska's made mistakes, I should say, time and time again, here they are just one game away, and they've been, frankly, one game away from a bowl game ahead of Wisconsin. So I guess, what do you see the outlook of Saturday being up in Madison?
Saturday is kind of a really, really interesting to me just because of the vibe around Madison and inside of that program. Now they are on a 3-game losing streak, and that's to Ohio State, which you expect, but then losses to Indiana and then Northwestern, who, by the way, David Braun is going to get that head coaching job, and he's one win away from sending the Wildcats to a bowl game. Really, really cool stuff from David Braun. But back to Wisconsin. So 2 straight losses to Indiana and Northwestern. Then after Northwestern, Hunter Wooler, one of their starting safeties, who's a really, really good player. He reminds me a lot of Omar Brown and Isaac Gifford. After that game, he was openly questioning to the media in front of a microphone the buy-in of his teammates. It was really kind of crazy stuff about how open and honest he was being about how he doesn't think everybody on the team is all in with Luke Fickell and what he's trying to do with that program, all in on the defense, the offense, all of that stuff. So Nebraska is walking into an interesting situation in Madison. And I'm wondering what kind of Wisconsin team Nebraska is going to face. In my opinion, I think Wisconsin is going to come together. I think the leaders in that program are going to come together and snap that 3-game losing streak. And it's going to be because they have just the better offense. They have a better quarterback with Tanner Mordecai. He came back from that broken hand he suffered against Iowa. He missed basically a month, came back against Northwestern and threw 45 passes, I think, and looked pretty good doing it. He's a quarterback that kind of reminds me of Tagovailoa from Maryland. He can run. He's not slow, but when he takes off, when he breaks the pocket, he is looking downfield to complete passes. And so, I think that's one thing that Nebraska's defense has kind of struggled with a little bit lately is those explosive plays downfield and defending quarterbacks who can kind of create with their legs and then throw it downfield. And Tanner Mordecai, he's an old Texas quarterback. He's from Waco, Texas. He spent a long time at SMU. Before that, he was a hotshot recruit at Oklahoma. So he's been around. He's played a lot of football. And I just think Wisconsin, while things might not be looking good on the outside, it's still a night game. It's still a road game in the Big Ten West. Those things are hard to win. I think Wisconsin gets this one, and that'll set up a pretty big game the following weekend on Black Friday at home against Iowa. Cooper DeJean-less Iowa, I should say, if that holds true, and Cooper DeJean is not out there. But yeah, this is a really interesting situation for Nebraska to be walking into, because I don't know what kind of state Wisconsin's program is going to be in this Saturday after everything that happened after that brutal loss at home to Northwestern. So, if you're asking me, I think Tanner Mordecai is a better quarterback. He'll be the best quarterback of that game, and I think that means something. I expect Wisconsin to get this one, and that'll set up a kind of a really big showdown once again with the Iowa Hawkeyes at the end of this regular season.
All right, Steve, I'll go ahead and let you go. I'm sorry. Just don't hate me. I hope you can come back on next week. We kept you a little overtime, so I apologize. If we did have more time, we would dive deep into David Braun and DeQuan Finn.
I missed DeQuan Finn's game-winning touchdown drive last night because I was watching Creighton basketball, but I have it recorded, so I'm going to be watching some DeQuan Finn.
All right, well, Steve, hopefully we talk to you next week. Sorry, once again, I kept you a little late.
No, you're good, Nick. Thank you.
All right, there he is, Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska. Appreciate his time as always. Let's get to break. When we come back, Strick joins me for the crossover. It's a Wednesday. You know what that means. Austin is out. I am in, so it's going to be Strick and myself for On the Block from 2 to 4. Don't go anywhere. We'll wrap up happy hour and get you ready for On the Block with Strick and myself coming up next on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Load up on meat and more this fall at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Havilah. This week's special through November 21st is buy one, get one free on 4-ounce filet mignons. And bring on the holiday cheers with 15% off all wine, beer, and spirits. Plus, don't forget their 2 new locations now open at 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln and 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Vershawn Jackson for Brandt Excavating. Brandt's been in business for 29 years, and they specialize in a variety of things. If you're looking for someone to get the job done in precision demolition, excavating, trucking, mass grading, and site prep, Brandt is the place to call. To set up a quote or learn more, call Brandt Excavating at 402-474-4113 or go to BrandtExcavating.com. They're also hiring, so join the team today. Brandt Excavating, a part of the Bauer brand, who reminds you, go big Brand.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club or space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? No, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
The most anticipated rock holiday tradition returns. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert. November 16th, Pinnacle Bank Arena. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. A legendary blend of rock, classical, and holiday music for the entire family. Don't miss Trans-Siberian Orchestra live in concert. The Ghosts of Christmas Eve.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Celebrate Thanksgiving this year with Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Venue at Home with our Thanksgiving to-go meal packages. Our packages include sliced turkey breasts and roasted gravy, herb stuffing, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, a harvest salad, and more, with add-on options to upgrade your feast, including smoked ham, prime rib, sides, appetizers, and desserts. You choose delivery right to your home or pick up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at holidaysbyvenue.net. That's holidaysbyvenue.net.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zip line gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
I vomited last night.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I literally vomited. I threw up.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It is that time for the crossover here, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Eric Strickland hanging out with you. What's up, Stricky?
What it do, my guy?
It's going to be you and I for On the Block, as it is every Wednesday afternoon. Looking forward to it, as always. But first, let's wrap up the happy hour here. And thanks again to Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska for joining me for 15, 20 minutes. It was funny. Steve texted me earlier today and was like, hey, Nick, can we keep it to like 10, 12 minutes? Here's the deal. It never happens. I don't know why they keep texting. It never happens. Never happens to where they keep it inside the time frame. But Stricky, we got a good show coming up this afternoon. We're going to talk Heisman a little bit here because Ryan, that conversation is coming up again. A little
under a month away.
Yeah, a little bit of NBA action, as there were four
some friction.
Yeah, 4 ejections less than 2 minutes into the game before the first bucket was even scored last night in the Timberwolves and Sacramento Warriors. Not Sacramento Warriors. Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. Sacramento Warriors. My goodness. But anyway, as I knew that didn't sound right. But so we're going to have a lot of stuff. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald will join us as well. But Strick, I want to ask you this. Nebraska men's basketball, and this will carry over into our first segment, so we won't need to go too deep on it. Nebraska men's basketball, they have Stony Brook tonight. Stony Brook 1-2 on the season. They got blown out to Duquesne on Monday night. In this week of Nebraska having quick turnaround, still somewhat early into the season, we saw it maybe a little bit on Monday night with Casey, just trying to get conditioning back to where it was for game shape. And we saw him just launching everything. Every time he touched the basketball, he was putting up shots, which wasn't surprising and also is okay against the opponent that they were playing to an extent. and just trying to get back into that game shape. On a week here where they play Monday, they play Wednesday, and then they hit the road for a neutral site game on Saturday, what's the difference in the adjustments that have to be made as a player in weeks like this?
Well, in weeks like this, you just want to be able to settle in, right?
Yeah.
One of the things when you're returning from injury, especially one like that deals with ligament stretching and so forth like that, right? You don't have the same lift. You may not still have the same abilities to get to certain spots. So there are certain things that you can do, like straight line shooting, but coming off and curling off or getting into mid-range shots can be a little bit different because you may not get the same elevation that you're used to getting. But also you got to take into account that Ryder was very good defensively.
They were annoying.
They're annoying, right? They had good speed, physicality.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
So your shots aren't going to be a little bit more with ease. It's going to be a little bit more contested.
Yeah.
And coming off an injury and the speed of the game can kind of speed you up a little bit. And that's what
it felt like it was. Yeah. It just felt like it was moving really fast.
This game is to answer your question.
Go ahead.
This game is one of those ones where you can just kind of hopefully get into a ease, a rhythm, not be overly stressed. Just allow the game to come to you. I think K-State anytime you're trying to force the game and not allow it to come to you, sometimes you can find yourself in a struggle.
It's fascinating, and tip-off is at 7 p.m. tonight for Nebraska and Stony Brook. I guess looking forward, we're going to dive deeper into Nebraska men's basketball in tonight's game. They're going to get a big player or a bigger name back tonight, and that's Ramel Lloyd Jr. We'll talk about him coming up in the first segment of On the Block. I guess when you look at Nebraska, as weird as this question is to ask it and to pose it, is there fatigue that happens 3 games in? Is there possible fatigue that happens 3 games in? Or are you still feeling pretty fresh at this point, just 3 games in against some 3 lesser opponents, but on a game like Monday night where it was real aggressive? Like they got banged around a little bit more than maybe they were used to in their first 2 games.
I mean, yeah, you're still very fresh. I think earlier in the season, what you can have, especially if you haven't been consistently on the court, is adrenaline dumps.
Yeah.
So the adrenaline dumps come because you're just excited. You know, you're just feeling really good about the opportunity of a game, getting on the floor. You're tired of practice. You're tired of bumping against the same guys all the time. You want to, and then you're off to a good start. So you want to be a contributor to those, to the wins, and you're the guy. And so you're trying to really get yourself, that's where K-State sits in. But if I'm Ramel Lloyd, and we'll talk more about this on the other side, it's really about this team not necessarily being fatigued because they have so much depth.
Yeah.
Each guy can really blow it out, not really have to blow it out, right? Or have to try to conserve energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually just get out there, give the best effort, give the best energy that you have out there, whether it be on the defensive or the offensive side, run, do all of those things, and just know that if you are providing winning type of plays, Fred is going to look to go with you.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be minutes, and there's minutes out there to be earned while Nebraska's is pretty deep, realistically. So yeah, we got a good show coming up for you guys on the block. Myself and Strick coming at you from 2 to 4. We'll talk Nebraska, Stony Brook. Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald will join us. We'll talk Heisman watch, who's in the mix at this point, the Draymond Green situation, and what's his future look like. All that and more coming up in just a few minutes on the block with Strick and myself. Appreciate Steve and Bach for hanging out with me throughout the hour. And thank you to you guys for hanging out from 1 to 2 o'clock as well. We'll be right back right here. This is doing it for the happy hour. Talk to you in a few. 93.7 The Ticket.
Whether you're booking a trip to Lincoln for a football game or a volleyball weekend, the Scarlet Hotel at Innovation Campus is the place for you. The Scarlet